On Sports Central, we'll be going over our next schedule preview this offseason, and it's going to be over the Wisconsin Badgers. And this was a team that went 10-4 last season, ended up making it to the Big Ten championship game, where they ended up losing to Ohio State. But overall, still a great season for Wisconsin, much better than what people expected. But in this video, we're going to be going over a few players that this team will be losing, who they're going to be returning, and also we're going to be going over their schedule for the first time this offseason. So once again, Wisconsin went 10-4 in 2019. And yeah, once again, it was a really good season for Wisconsin. Many people expected them to possibly not even be able to make it past 8 wins. And of course, if you remember what I said before the season, I said if Jack Cohn plays well, Wisconsin will play well in general. And that's what ended up happening. And we'll get to more about that in a sec. But the games that Wisconsin has had since November, they beat Iowa on November 9th, 24-22, big game there. Also beat Nebraska on the road, 37-21. Had a big game against Purdue, 45-24, and they also beat Minnesota when it really mattered, 38-17. That's what sent Wisconsin to the Big Ten championship in the first place, where they ended up losing to Ohio State, 21-34, and that was a close game. I mean, for the majority of the game, both those teams were neck and neck, but nonetheless, their loss ended up sending them to the Rose Bowl against Oregon, where they ended up losing 27-28, which that game quite possibly was one of the best ones of 2019, that's for sure. But nonetheless, between September and October, they were 6-2, and between November and the postseason, they were 4-2. So really, the trend was pretty consistent for Wisconsin. It was just overall a great season all around. A few key points for Wisconsin heading into this offseason. They returned their starting quarterback, Jack Cohn, and of course, he had a really good season. He had just over 2,700 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, so that's going to be huge to return him. They lose their major running back, Jonathan Taylor, which he had just over 2,200 yards and 26 touchdowns. He had an outstanding season, that's for sure. And losing a player like that is going to be really tough to replace. But of course, Wisconsin's always had a really good way with finding the running back, so I'm sure that they'll get another one. Of course, if you remember in the past, they had Melvin Gordon, Monte Ball a few years back as well. So this Wisconsin team has always been stacked with great running backs. They also lose their top wide receiver, Quintez Cephas, which he just had over 900 yards and 7 touchdowns, so that's another tough loss. But they return all their other receivers, which they don't have any other really standout wide receivers, but they do have several, like 3 or 4, with at least 200 to 275 yards. So that is really excellent, being able to return all of those. They also return their second in receiving yards from 2019, Jake Ferguson. He's a tight end. He had just over 400 yards and 2 touchdowns as well, so that's going to be huge. Otherwise, they lose 2 on the offensive line, and only losses on the defense include 2 linebackers. So really, this Wisconsin team's returning a lot of players for the most part, and really there's no minor losses I noticed as well. Just a couple of major ones. Once again, I mentioned they lose their major running back, Jonathan Taylor, and also Quintez Cephas, their top in receiving yards. Yeah, once again, how much potential does Wisconsin have in 2020? Of course, as they're returning most of their players, especially only 2 on the defense, this defense will be scary in 2020, in my opinion. Especially since Wisconsin's pretty much known for their great defenses. And I mean, they've had great defenses for many years. So for Wisconsin, they will likely have one of the best defenses in the Big Ten West, or possibly even the best, that's for sure. But nonetheless, how much potential does Wisconsin have? I think, once again, losing Jonathan Taylor is going to put a big dent in that. But I do believe that Wisconsin has a really good chance to end up winning the Big Ten West again and making it to the Big Ten championship game. Chances of another college football playoff run, of course, as you know, Wisconsin, I think if they would have beaten Ohio State in the Big Ten championship this season, they would have easily made it to the college football playoff. But the chances of another college football playoff run for Wisconsin in 2020, I think it's possible. I mean, for Wisconsin, once again, they're losing just a couple on the defense and really just a couple of major losses, and that's it. But for Wisconsin, I think they probably will stand right around where they were in 2019. I don't expect them. I mean, they've got a really tough schedule, and we'll get to that in a sec. But I do expect them to hang right around where they were in 2019. Here's their schedule, and of course, they start off the season against Indiana on September 4th. So you got a conference game right off the bat, and then it's Southern Illinois and Appalachian State, which are probably your 2 easiest games. And quite honestly, I mean, Southern Illinois is a bit of a pushover, but Appalachian State, they did win this Sun Belt Conference this season. So Appalachian State will be no easy opponent, that's for sure. But then it's Michigan the week after that. And then your third non-conference game will be against Notre Dame, which that's a team I don't expect to be near as good in 2020 as they were in 2019. But that is in a neutral location too. So really you get 2 of your 3 non-conference games at home. And then it's Minnesota the week after that, and then it's on to Maryland on October 24th. The next few weeks that follow, you got Illinois at home as well as Northwestern on the road and Purdue on the road. So really that stretch between mid to late October and mid-November really should be the easiest part of the season, I think, for Wisconsin. Of course, between Maryland, Illinois, Northwestern, and Purdue, I mean, you got a couple of good teams in there, but I don't expect them to be any big threat to Wisconsin. Final 2 games of the season, two big rivalry games. Of course, you got Nebraska on November 21st and Iowa on the road on November 28th to finish off the season. Nonetheless, here's what I got for Wisconsin this year. I'm going to give you 3 wins right now. Of course, we're going to be going over their full schedule once we get to summer and we release our official predictions. But nonetheless, I do expect your 3 guaranteed wins to be Southern Illinois, Appalachian State, and Illinois. Those 3 games I do expect Wisconsin to take care of pretty easily. In your record estimation will be between 9-3 and 11-1. I wouldn't be surprised to see Wisconsin, if the season flops, to go 8-4. Of course, once again, this schedule is really tough. Really, the 2 guaranteed wins are Southern Illinois and Appalachian State, but I'd say Illinois will be the next easiest game to win there. But nonetheless, once again, I mean, Appalachian State's no pushover, but I do expect Wisconsin to at least make it to 9-3. Yeah, once again, let me know your early thoughts on Wisconsin in the comments below. I do understand that it is mid-February. That's kind of the point of a schedule preview, just to kind of go over these teams in the early parts of the offseason to give you some analysis and thoughts early on. But nonetheless, once again, let me know your thoughts in the comments below on this team. Thank you guys all for watching and sticking around. Thank you guys all for watching, and I will see you all later.